is 104 degrees outside today, so obviously it's time to start prepping for the fall garden. I know that August is hard for the garden. The weeds are crazy, the plants are taking over, the harvest is almost too much to manage sometimes, and it's hot. It's hot and you're tired, and the newness of it has worn off for the season, and August is hard. And so sometimes it's really hard to start thinking about growing more. But August is the time when you want to start thinking about your fall garden. Fall gardening is a little bit tricky here in Eastern Washington just because our first frost usually comes pretty early, and then we have a little bit of warm weather and then a really hard freeze. It's kind of hard to manage crops at that time, but if you can get them well established and plant things that can survive through a frost, then you can really extend your harvest and your gardening season. The fall garden is overlooked a lot of the time because it's not really marketed in stores. In the spring, you see, all of the gardening supplies, you see all of plant starts and things like that. And by this time, we've shifted into back to school shopping and Halloween decor, because that is how stores make money. So not a lot of the time are you going to be finding any started plants. So starting seeds is usually how you're going to start with your fall garden. So let's talk about the seeds that I'm starting this week and kind of my process for planning the fall garden. Basically what I do is I go through my seed collection and I pull out anything that is frost tolerant. These are things that have more robust cell walls, so a freeze doesn't break those cell walls. Maybe that's too sciencey. Things that can survive the cold are a lot of root vegetables, all brassicas, lettuces, and typically these things that do well in the cold actually taste better when grown in cold conditions. So what I've got here is just a bin full of seeds that I pulled out willy-nilly, and I've got it separated into things that I will start and things that I will direct seed. All of the direct seed things that I have here are root vegetables. There's always a little bit of gamble when you're putting in a fall garden because you can't control the weather and you don't know if things are going to get established enough to survive through a frost. So I try not to be too picky about how I'm starting my fall garden. Things I'll be putting in the ground after the heat wave passes are beets, radishes, carrots, and rutabagas. I had really terrible luck with carrots in the spring garden. I think it might have been a combination of things. It wasn't warm enough at first and then it was too warm. My soil, I think, is a little bit too dense. So I'm gonna be trying again with some sandy soil amendment. And I'll be trying quite a few varieties. I didn't realize that I had pulled out quite so many varieties of carrots, but it looks like I'll be growing Danvers Half Long, Black Nebula, just a rainbow mix. This is Coral, Giants of Colmar, Nif. This one's really cool. I really hope that this one grows. It's like purple with a white center. I've got just your regular Detroit dark red beets and just a mix. I really enjoy radishes, and they grow really quickly. So I have quite a few varieties here that I'll be growing. Cherry Bell, Icicle Short Top. I have this Easter egg blend. This one is Mantengong, which is a hybrid. But look at how cute they are. They're little watermelon radishes. And then French Breakfast, which is my favorite. And then I will be planting Navone Yellow Rutabaga. Yeah, so I'll get all of this in the ground in the next couple of days, and hopefully it won't be too hot for those to flourish. I have quite a few things that I'll be starting indoors. It's not necessary to start your fall garden seeds indoors, but because it does get so hot in Eastern Washington during the summer and then drop off really rapidly, I think it gives the best chance for them to get established and not go straight to seed. So let's see. Got 2 varieties of cauliflower that I'll be starting, just a regular white snowball and this Romanesco cauliflower. It's green sprouting calabrese broccoli, some Swiss chard. I saved the seeds from the cilantro that went to seed and I'll be replanting those. Quite a few varieties of alyssum. Tiny Tim, which is a white alyssum. Gold Dust, which is a yellow alyssum. Rosy O'Day, which is like a red alyssum. And Royal Carpet, which is purple. Alyssum is actually a brassica, so it'll survive a frost. It's really great for the pollinators late in the season and also early in the spring. And its roots don't compete with other roots around it. They'll actually grow around. So it's a really great companion plant. It grows as a cover, kind of like a living mulch. And it's pretty and technically edible. Bloomsdale longstanding spinach, which I also harvested from the garden this year. That'll be going back in. We're gonna be planting more blue curled kale, Chinese yellow heart winter choy, Piche pak choy. I'll be growing a lot more of the Napa cabbage that I grew. I'll be using up the seeds that I have. I also harvested quite a few from the cabbages that I grew this year. I've also got, let's see, 3 different kinds of regular cabbage, Filderkraut, All Seasons, and Red Acre. And one thing that I'll be doing differently with the fall garden is really paying attention to plant spacing. I had never grown cabbage before, and I didn't realize how big they got. And so when I planted them this March, I planted them way too close together and they really crowded each other out. So I'll be being mindful of spacing those appropriately for the fall garden. Gonna be growing Groninger Brussels sprouts. I don't even know if you care about what I'm growing, but. And then we'll be growing more purple kohlrabi. I'm gonna see if I can get some seeds for just regular green kohlrabi because I was surprised at how much I actually really loved kohlrabi. They're really interesting to grow and they're not something that you can really find in the grocery store. I chose 4 kinds of lettuce, Paris Island Cause, Freckles, Black-Seeded Simpson, and Grand Rapids that I'll be growing. I grew too much lettuce in the spring. I'm used to growing for more people than just myself, and so I kind of overestimated how much that I needed. I know it's a lot to start thinking about when you're really overrun by the garden right now, but the fall garden is so much less work than the summer garden. There's not all the pruning and staking and weeding. And if you're looking for a little bit of self-sufficiency, food sufficiency, growing a fall garden is a really great place to start. I don't know, it was probably kind of boring to sit here and watch me talk, but I get excited about starting new things even if I am exhausted from the heat and the work of the garden. It kind of gives that little spark of joy, a little dopamine. Hopefully this gave you a little bit of inspiration and maybe a little reminder to get started thinking about the fall garden. Thanks for watching and stay curious.